100% agreement rating. And that's because no matter what you or I do, we're gonna always say you got that right. You and I live in a judgment-free zone, and we're getting ready to spread that unconditional love vibration all over the planet with the universal understanding that peace is more important than being right about anything. We can always disagree, but we never have to be disagreeable by simply respecting each other's right to see the world as we choose to see it in every moment.
Got that right. The judgment-free podcast zone where we can disagree without being disagreeable. I'm your host, Safeer, with my lovely co-host Nkaassaa in Newark, Delaware. We're broadcasting live from Scottsdale, Arizona, and streaming on demand on the Safeer World YouTube channel and anytime through the Asia Radio Network on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and other major podcast platforms. This is your communication portal for open, honest, and respectful conversations about whatever matters most to our listeners. The show is produced by SafeerWorld.com, and our sponsors include Global Village Co-op, UPI Loan Fund, and Fair Co-op. You got that right, where every voice deserves to be heard. Our topic today is decoloniality. Using Western destructive ideologies would not emancipate Africans. And our special guest today is Oládélé Dosunmu, founder of the Alkebulan Innovative Foundation and leader of the Emerging Alkebulan movement. We'll be right back with today's podcast right after this very important message.
The future of smart spending is finally here. Introducing the Prosperity Cash Rewards digital wallet. No banks, no plastic cards, just cash rewards up to 20% sent directly to your cell phone. Simply join this member-owned co-op, register your payment card, shop with merchant partners, and enter the bold new world of smart spending while earning cash on all your purchases. For a limited time, the door is open to become an owner-founder of this fine tech co-op that is redefining the meaning of smart spending with track and pay technology. Join this unique co-op now and reshape your world by financially empowering yourself, your family, your favorite nonprofit, and your community in ways never before possible. Make a tax-deductible donation now to become a bronze, silver, gold, platinum, or diamond owner-founder and receive profit sharing and many other benefits.
Welcome back to You Got That Right.
Got that right.
Remember, how you doing, sister?
I'm wonderful. How are you doing this week?
Fantastic. We have a great show lined up here. We have a few technical challenges we working through as we go along here.
That's right. I am excited to talk about Alkebulan.
Yeah.
Decoloniality.
Exactly. So remember, today's show is here for you, the listening audience. So please contact us with any questions or comments that you may have. You can call us on our studio line at 602-319-4689. You can text us a message on the screen. You can send us an email at info@safeerworld.com. Safeerworld.com. Again, today's topic is decoloniality. Using Western destructive ideologies would not emancipate Africans. And we'll be discussing this topic with our guest, Oládélé Dosunmu, from the perspective of African history, coloniality, decoloniality, economic sovereignty, African-led innovation, entrepreneurship, and sustainable development. We have our guest on the line, I believe. Brother Oládélé, how you doing?
Absolutely fantastic. Thanks for having me, guys.
Hey, man. How's the weather in England today?
Yeah, weather's absolutely fantastic. It's good. It feels like I'm in Africa at the moment. So yeah, we're good.
Well, that's great. Give you a little background. For more information on our guest today, his website is www.thealkebulans, ALKEBULANS.com. And his email is Emerging Alkebulan, and you can put that on the screen, I guess, at gmail.com. A little background information on the brother Oládélé is the founder of the Alkebulan Innovative Foundation and leader of the Emerging Alkebulan movement, working to reshape global perceptions of Africa. He champions African-led innovation, entrepreneurship, and sustainable development while partnering with organizations across Africa and diaspora to support businesses throughout the continent. Through his social platforms, he shares commentary on African history, economic sovereignty, and critical thinking, describing himself as an unapologetic African. Unapologetic African, huh? Okay.
Yes, I am.
Why would we need to apologize for anything?
That's what I'm saying. But we don't have to apologize for nothing. But sometimes when you're in the colonial spaces, you gotta be brash. You gotta be open. Just get your stuff out there.
I hear you. It sounds like, say, the Europeans should be the one apologizing.
Yeah, they should be. For some reason, our people have not got to that stage where they need to hold authority and actually let them. So yeah, that's why we have the conversations.
I hear you, brother. So tell us a little bit about what you're into right at this moment. What is your focus over the next 6 months to a year?
The focus, basically, as we've met already, basically, I'm Nigerian. Obviously, and this is my background history. I'm Nigerian, born in the UK. My formative years were in Nigeria. So I grew up in Nigeria before I came back to UK. So I know about both worlds. So I basically, when you're talking about, having both legs in two different places, basically. Probably the last 40 years of my life I spent in the UK. So, and I go back to, obviously, I'm in the process of actually moving back to that Nigeria, completely away from the Uruguay's town. So that's where I'm at the moment, because I go back a lot because we have a foundation. So what are we about? Basically, the focus for me is Africa, because I don't look at the West, because there's nothing you can do about the West. It's not ours. The focus is Africa. So my focus is basically, how do we as Africans become Africans, authentic Africans, without the Uruguay lens, without the colonial lens. Unfortunately, as somebody who's in Nigeria, who's in Africa a lot, what I see, what I don't like happening is the fact that most Africans still look up to Uruguay for everything they do. I was in Kenya a couple of months ago, and basically everything I saw in Nairobi was built from the European perspective. An African country.
Can you break down that word? Can you break down that word for us?
What is that?
The Western thinking.
The Western thinking. And yeah, the Western thinking is basically, what they do is basically, you see how they build up the city. It's all European. They have the skyscrapers, the education. It's the European. The hotel that I was at, I was in a hotel in Kenya, and the breakfast, everything we're eating was still European in Kenya. So I had to ask the people there, I'm in Kenya, where's the Kenyan breakfast? So everything is still geared and catered towards providing. Even there was a shop in the hotel, and they were selling suits. They were not selling African attire. I'm an African. I've come to Kenya. I want to buy Kenyan. I want to take it back to Nigeria so we can compare, our traditions, our culture. But all I could see was a suit and tie, something I'm running away from. So this is basically what we're about in terms of in Africa. Our process is basically to help Africans think as Africans. Don't use the Uruguay, call the word Uruguay, white man's yardstick of, proximity to whiteness to develop this, because you are original. You're original. You're the original people. So why would you look to them, to define yourself? And this is basically what we're doing, because basically, as a Nigerian, it is bad. That's what we're doing to help people decolonize their thought process. It's really bad.
Is that true of just Nigeria, or is that true of all?
It's all over Africa. Like I said, I'm talking about Kenya. I'm Nigerian. I've been to Kenya. I've been to African countries, and everywhere I go, is basically they're trying as much as possible to sound white, to be white. And this is the work that Africa needs to do, and that's why we set up the organization. So basically, to actually talk to people, connect with different organizations, and let's start re-educating the African brothers and sisters to start thinking like an African person. Because if you're using the Urugu or the European mindset to develop yourself, you're basically still in the chains that we're trying to get away from. And that basically means, like a Frank Fana would say, black face, white mask. So you're not freeing yourself. So we need to change that mindset, and that's the focus. That's what we do. That's basically a nutshell. That's basically what my organization is all about.
Sister Nkaassaa, feel free to jump in anytime and ask any questions that's on your mind.
Oh, yes. Well, there's a couple that came up. What percentage of Nigerian culture is following the Urugu state of consciousness? That's
majority, my sister. Majority of people are.
How do we turn that framework around to put the hawk's eye on what is African mindset, or the way in which we should think in this African mind? I guess that would be a better question.
So what we need to do, and what we focus on, is basically education.
Okay.
Because our education is still European.
So then
we've gained independent. Pardon?
I apologize. Keep going.
Yeah. So we gained independence almost 60, 70 years in Africa today. So we still have a colonial educational system. Our curriculum is European. In 2026, African countries have not decided to basically build an Afrocentric curriculum that's going to basically bring African ingenuity, African indigenous knowledge system to basically they haven't done that. So that's one of the biggest challenges facing Africa today. Our spirituality is European. We still worship the white Jesus, and we still, about the Quran, when we have our own indigenous spirituality.
Absolutely.
Which is our origin, which basically predates the Urugus or the Arabs' religion. So these are the things that we've lost. It's still there, thankfully, because I talk to a lot of people who are still in that space, but it's not mainstream. It's been demonized.
Yes. And going a little further into like global village consciousness, and just stepping outside that a little bit, of my question, even though it might be far in advance, is what color is the next African currency? Because all of the resources, they are funneled through European culture, so your natural resources there get funneled into a European exchange and then sold back to the rest of the world. When is it going to become the African colored currency, if that makes sense? That's like where your conversation needs a question. When is it become?
When is it going to become African? And this is basically that's basically the work we're doing. It's basically for us to basically get into the spaces where all the African governments are. Unfortunately, African governments are still conquered. I call them gatekeepers and mission managers for the European governments. There's only 3 African countries right now that are anti-imperialist, and that's Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso. There's only 3 out of 54. So this is the challenge we're facing. This is basically why we're doing the work. This is basically why we get into the spaces. I was in the African Union conference in Kenya on the African Day. The reason for those conferences for us to get into, talk to these people, share ideas, and think common solutions. How do we get ourselves back to where we need to be? So this is the work. The thing that I had a podcast today, and we're talking about data, AI. Our data in Africa is not owned. Africa has basically the youngest population in the world today. The youngest youth population in the world. data is currency. Africa does not control that data. We have we've only got 0.1% of the control of data in Africa. So everything is coming funneled through Silicon Valley. So our minerals has been extracted, our resources, our human capital has been extracted. Now the data is being extracted. Why are we not pushing back?
Right.
So, and based on the conversation we had today, which is so sad because some guy came up to give us some figures, and the figures, what he was saying is during the budget sessions, when they create budgets for these countries, there's basically, because they're servicing the European debt, there's no money. There's no money budgeted for technology to bring in businesses. The budget for businesses to build AI for Africa, there isn't any.
Right.
So that's the biggest challenge Africa is facing. Africa is still colonial, despite the fact that we've been there for so long. We're still colonial in our thinking. We're not doing anything to actually be against the system.
So now we're outsourcing all of our resources to create the well for AI. The natural resources are neither the air, the water, or the minerals, and we're not taking part in the proliferation of it. So how do we use our African global village mind to, close those doors and barter and sell and, have marketplace within ourselves? Is that a conversation that's happening within African countries?
It's a conversation we're having, but it's a challenge. It's the biggest challenge. It's all down to the mindset, the thinking. As long as you have a Urugu mindset,
okay,
it's difficult to have the conversations. Those conversations, you have it, but people look at you and they're thinking you're speaking gibberish.
Well, we have a saying on this side of the world, their ice is colder than ours, right? It's the mindset, and all ice melts at the same temperature. So my grandmother used to say that to me, is stay out of other people's business because it's not worth it. You have to mind your own. You mind your own ice, so you don't have to worry about what's in someone else's glass. But if the African conversation is not seeing wealth within Africa, they only see it when wealth goes out of Africa and comes back. How do you position yourself to cut or, put a rivet in that to say, switch this around? We don't need to trade with them to have wealth. So because their dollar is our dollar, their dollar is made by our resources.
Our resources.
So when does that shift occur so that they can see this?
Based on the work I do, and the conversations I have, we're nowhere near that at the moment. There's only three, like I said, there's only 3 countries who are bucking that trend. The majority of the continent they're not getting the memo. And that's basically the biggest challenge facing Africa today. The colonial mindset that needs to be decolonized. And that's basically why the topic is very, very important. So we're not. I'm being honest.
Yes, I'm gonna ask one more question, and Safeer, I'm gonna give it back to you.
Yes, it's okay.
How are African educators rallying in Nigeria to at least begin the educational, bridge to teach some African mindset?
They're not. I'm a Nigerian. I'm there. They're not. Basically, I go into space. I go into universities. We have conversations. We speak to professors. I get them on my program as well. Their mindset is still colonial.
So, Brother Oládélé,
they have a lot of work to do.
What are they scared of?
Yes.
I'm not scared. You're not scared. My sister is not
scared of.
Because I think it's the fact that they think that they have proximity to opacity in terms of the privileges and everything they gain. The so-called elite, everything they benefit is based on the European system. In terms of accountability and responsibility for their own people, they haven't got that kind of mind. They have that individualistic mindset, basically, which is what the European education has done to us. So think about me. Africa is about community. It's about everybody's coming together to build. Right. We've lost that mindset. So education teaches you, I have to be the first in the classroom. Whereas in African community, it's about we.
Right.
So when you have a me mindset and you haven't got a we mindset, it basically says you want to
get away from the Eurocentric values into more Afrocentric values.
And that's basically that's the conversation that we're having. That's why we're doing what we do, so that we can get to those conversations for them to start thinking about we.
Yeah, and the leader that I see that is impressing me the most right now is Ibrahim Traore
And Chiani and Goita, that's three of them.
He's my hero over there. Because he's standing up for what's right for his country. Just like we have America first here, he has Africa first over there, and that's what you've got to do in terms of getting back into homeostasis, or back into balance and back into our values of community and cooperation and service with each other, as opposed to individual thinking. We had that same challenge here in the United States. So don't feel like you're by yourself over there. One of the great leaders of the Nation of Islam, Elijah Muhammad, used to say that the European knocked the African American over the head and put him to sleep, but in the African, he said, they rocked you guys to sleep. So being hit over the head versus being rocked to sleep. So how did they rock you to sleep over there?
I've stated they rocked us to sleep by the educational system. It's European. So when like Carter G. Woodson would say, the miseducation of the Negro, okay? For desperate brothers and sisters, because you're in the belly of the beast, you understand, you see how they are. I've lived in the belly of the beast. I understand that. I know their psyche because I've studied them. But the people back in the continent, they're far removed from the European. They only see the ones that come over there. So the education that they've been given is basically to tell them that everything about the white person is better than whatever they have, despite the fact that we are the original civilization. So they still have that in their minds because white is right. Well, most Africans do that.
Then I'm jumping into another question. How does African technology for Africans work?
We haven't got any, my sister. We have not got any. Everything we do is European and Chinese. There's nothing. Basically, we're in ground zero right now. We have a few apps that they've created in terms of payment apps like M-Pesa and stuff like that. But guess where the resources are? Silicon Valley.
Okay.
So in terms of original African ownership,
right,
they're still seeking funds from the Urugu to build.
Right.
Like the conversation I had today, the fact that we can't even fund our own technology and the government's not even budgeting to build is a bigger problem.
Right.
So we have as Africans, we have a massive problem. Like I said, if you live in the diaspora, you're more awakened, you understand what's going on. But people back home they haven't got a clue. And the so-called people that are supposed to be the solutions are European-minded. All they're thinking is capitalism. How am I going to make money? The quick buck.
Right.
Me, myself, and I. And in capitalism will never free Africa because it extracts from those who haven't got it.
So we have to make cooperation and service more popular or palatable.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about. Community. We need to build community.
Yeah, as opposed to individualistic thinking,
Yes.
And that's been our challenge in the United States within the African American community, and that's a challenge in most countries of color around the world, actually, because the missionaries came in and with the schools and all these kinds of things, and miseducated the people and taught them to dislike themselves, and they were demonized. They were called savages and God knows what else, in the name of Christianity and and Christ. And so unfortunately, you have a lot of Africans praying to the same European-looking Jesus that we praying to. African Americans are praying to here in the United States, And so when you look, it's interesting to me because when you look at the history of the situation, and you go back to where Jesus actually lived and where he grew up, they said in the Bible that Jesus had skin like burnt brass and hair like lamb's wool. That doesn't sound like a European to me, But yet,
my elder, the challenge there is basically the history that you're talking about. Africans haven't got it. They're never taught. The people that ask me, the people that I interact with, they actually get that knowledge. Basically, people are learning from the kind of awakening that we're doing on YouTube, on TikTok. That's basically where they're learning. Some person came on my podcast the other day on this, left a message, and because I never knew about this. It's the first time I'm hearing. So basically, the education takes them away from actually knowing about themselves. There's no African history. You know, it's like Nigeria. There's in Mungo Park discovered River Niger, a river that we bathed in before, even a white man was in existence. Then you discovered it, and that's in the textbook,
Right.
in Nigerian literature.
Cover was already there that we have already.
Yes.
So
that's in our history books.
Yes, that leads me to another part of the political segregation in Nigeria, and all the questions I'm asking are from a place of love to give.
Yeah, I understand that.
For the people there.
Sister Nkaassaa, before we get too deep into that, we're going into our segue right now.
Okay.
We're going to go into a brief musical segue featuring a song from one of my world music albums called
Absolutely
Middle Passage.
All right.
Middle Passage.
That's fitting. I like that.
I thought that you would appreciate that, brother.
That is fitting.
Halfway between Africa and America.
That's
right. And so this was the vision that I saw musically. Instead of a wholesale murder, I made it into more of a rites of passage type of vibration. So if you can imagine Africans being wholesale thrown overboard because they didn't think they could make it the rest of the way, this was the soundtrack to that event. And so we're doing it in a spiritual, holy way. And we're calling it, a rites of passage. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
great respect to our ancestors, man. We appreciate.
Exactly. And when we come back from the music, Nkaassaa is going to jump in with a segment called Insights with Nkaassaa. All right, Insights with Nkaassaa. Okay. We'll be right back. All right. We are back live in living color.
Yeah, right.
How you
Wow.
like that? How you like that middle passage music, brother? I couldn't hear you.
Oh, he's
I'm
on mute.
muted. I'm muted. Yeah, it was very, very soothing. I like it. I like it. Yeah,
Thank you
it's
very
soothing.
much. Thank you. Yeah,
Yeah, I
that
like
was
it.
a very powerful time. We had 25 healers that were dancing blindfolded while we recorded that music in the
Yeah, it's
studio.
good.
Yeah,
Soothing.
very powerful. So I'd like to
Yeah.
introduce our segment with Sister Nkaassaa, Insights with Sister Nkaassaa. Go ahead, Sister.
Yes, and I guess today we're going to look deep into the spirit and soul of Alkebulan, being the ancestral birthplace and the mother and the foundation of, global spirit and spiritual processes. So I'm going to ask you, Brother Olu, is the reclaiming of Africa in the communalization of traditional African spirituality? And if it is, how do we bring that to the forefront to begin to reinstill our spirit from the tools of the process of spirituality and religiosity? We can still have our religion or our religious tools or processes to give us inspiration potentially, but our spirit, our emanating inspiration must come from our cultural community, our cultural connectivity. And how do we bring that to the forefront to make these actions, these tasks, these goals happen on the continent? That's my insightful question.
Yeah, that question I love so much because that's basically the space I'm at. When I talk about people, that what I'm doing is a spiritual journey. People don't understand what it means when you say spiritual, because basically everything you're doing is guided. As Africans, one of the biggest challenges facing Africa is the fact that they took away our spirituality. When the Yoruba came to the continent, they knew what was spiritual because basically we are the forebearers. We basically were spiritual before they even existed. So in order for them to disconnect us, they had to take away who we are, who we are. That's why they gave us Christianity and Islam and whatever else ism they gave us. That's to disconnect us from the source, because they knew that the source is very, very powerful.
Yes.
So in the work I do and the people that that I speak to, and I'm a Yoruba. I'm Yoruba from Nigeria. Okay, we're about Ifa.
Yes.
Okay, when I was doing basically, because somebody who I've been so Europeanized that I didn't even know who I was. My surname, as you see there, Dosunmu, Dosunmu, basically means the carrier of the staff, the Ifa staff. Basically, it's basically you're a priest that carries the staff of Ifa. That is so powerful. I did not know that until some of these Ifa people we were doing a podcast. They told me the meaning of my name, so that got me to start to trying to discover and know more about myself. And when you know your spiritual content, your spiritual connection, it empowers you.
Yes.
And that's a disconnect that Africans have. And that's where we need to get to. That's basically why we're working with, I'm talking about Ifa priests and basically African spiritualists. I have some people in South Africa. We have them all over the place. So we're saying, guys, in order for us to actually emancipate ourselves, we need to go back to what was us in the beginning. It's a bit difficult because most in Nigeria, in my family even struggles. When I'm talking about I tell my family that I'm not a Christian. No, I'm basically spiritual. I have a connection to my source and my ancestors. They can't comprehend that thought process.
Wow.
It's a challenge. That's a disconnect that most Africans have. So basically, going back to that source, basically, is going to be the basis of what we're building today. That's what we need to start doing. And highlighting those practices and those cultures, that heritage, is basically the biggest thing that could actually free Africa's mind. Because once we know who we are and we go back to the root and the foundation of our spirituality, then we can build from that. Then we can talk about education.
And I think it's vitally important because you shared with us earlier that the large percentage of youth that are in Africa. So tailoring this information and getting this spiritual inception out to the youth is vitally important. And technology is the way.
Very.
And doing a global co-op village mindset is absolutely necessary. So getting this information to Burkina Faso, because their children are our children and our children are their children. So those
Mm,
countries in Niger and Mali that are also having, a vital youth population, we must put this in their hands. If
yeah,
he's doing all the integration of raising up and building new structures, infrastructure,
yeah,
that's what's need to be shared. Now I'm not for sure, how at will right now the Nigerian infrastructure, as it is moving forward, wants to reclaim, identification with their land, let alone with what the byproduct of the land is.
mm,
But it's Nigerian for Nigerians. Do average
yeah.
people in Nigeria own their own land? Is my next question.
Another good question, actually. I love it. Because I've just had to go back to Nigeria to reclaim my ancestral land.
Mm,
On my father's side,
wow.
it was bastardized. They sold it
That's
off.
deep. That's deep.
Very deep,
They sold it off.
right?
So
That's too
on
deep.
and on my mother's side, there's something that's been telling me for the last 7 or 8 years that I cannot afford to lose my ancestral land from my mother's side, like I lost my father's side.
Mm,
So I spoke to my mother, who's 85 years old, and I said, "Mom, that's your dad's land. How can we bet it back?" And thankfully, my mom was straight on board, and she spoke to my cousins and nephews, and basically we reclaimed that land. We're in the process of doing stuff because people are funny, because they're so capitalist in their mind, they want to sell it. But I'm in the space where I'm saying, no, we're not selling it. I'd rather buy it off you than sell it.
that's
So
right.
we've reclaimed that land for me, because it's an statement of intent, saying that, you know what, we're gonna keep what's ours and be an example. And as time goes forward, probably I will share my journey with when I go back home. We're gonna share the journey to see how we reclaim that land, and now we're gonna build an eco village, going back to the indigenous systems and doing stuff that's basically what our ancestors did in the past to reclaim who we are. And hopefully, there's a lot of people who are doing it right now, and we're going to link up with a lot of them when I get back and when I'm back to Nigeria fully. We're going to be linking up with people who are doing the same work that we're doing to build a community, so that people in the diaspora and miseducated Africans in the diaspora can actually see that we can actually do these things. And it's all about building community, and that's basically what we're doing.
Yes.
Wow, yeah, we interesting, brother, because we didn't African Americans, former slaves in this country, we didn't have any land, and then they promised us 40 acres and a mule.
Yep.
but we didn't get it. And what we did get, we've lost 90% of that from the time we got it till today, because they've done their best to take the land back from us. And so you're in a reverse situation. You already owned the land. It was your land, and then it was taken from you, and now you're in process of reclaiming your land. To me, that's too deep. China went through a similar situation in China, and they had to, have a revolution over it because of the Boxer Rebellion. They had to, ask the Europeans to leave because they were making millions of dollars on the opium traffic and all that, and so end up dividing into Hong Kong and Taiwan and all these different other spin-offs of mainland China as a way of getting the British out of their hair, so to speak. So they said, well, you guys go play on that island over there, you can't play on the mainland no more. That's over. So I see us. Do you see a similar evolution taking place in Africa, where that is going to happen at some point? There's going to be your own version of the Boxer Rebellion.
It's going to happen, because I'm positive, because when I look across social media today, I can see the revolution happen on social media. So we just got to take it to a conscious level. We need to bring it home. So you take it from the space, basically, to start being it. And this is basically where people like me and people who are, that's basically what we're doing, so that we actually take it, not just talking it, but walking it, walk the talk. So basically, that's the education, and it's all about education. It's about getting to these spaces and communicating with these youths and telling them the importance of owning the land, because there's a strip down from Lagos to a place where I live, where I live in Nigeria. And basically, the Chinese basically has bought all that. They basically bought the whole lot. When I saw that, that really pisses me off. And this is basically what we're looking at dollars and we take the same money. So the work is enormous, but because we are in the awakening season right now, where things are shifting, the consciousness is awakening. So people are actually saying that things need to change. And I'm putting that things before, probably about 6 or 7 years ago, if you tell me that things are gonna stay the way they are, I'll probably say I agree with you. But seeing what I'm saying and seeing the consciousness awaken amongst Africans, I can see there's a shift. And thankfully, the youth are leading the way as well. They're not even waiting for the elders to do it. They're leading the way. So I'm positive about that.
I want to jump back in one more time and talk about the natural and agricultural resources for African people. And if that's sustainable, with this, we're just taking Nigeria alone, that Nigeria can feed its own people through its agriculture. Is that a yes or a no? So that's a question.
It's easily done. If we just get away, it's easily done. If we just get away from the cash crop mentality.
Oh, okay, talk about that.
Because my father came to the UK because my grandparents had a cocoa farm. Basically, the Urugu told them to plant cocoa beans.
Yeah, chocolate. Mm-hmm.
And the money they made from that is what gave them the money to send my dad to the UK to study. So we stopped feeding ourselves. Right. We exchanged that for getting the European money.
Okay.
So the subsistence farming that served us for generations, they put it to the back burner. So if you go to my part of the country, the Southwest, basically now we're relying on the Northerners to grow our food for us. We were farmers. My grandparents were farmers.
We need to get back to that.
We need to get back to that. And that's one of the things that I'm doing when I get back home. That's basically, we have to reclaim our land. We need to, at least let's grow our food. Because as you well know, in the West, the food we're eating is basically not natural. It's it's all chemicalized. It's bringing diseases. Cancer rate in Africa now is growing because we're eating all the ultra-processed food that the West is eating that's bringing so much diseases. Now Africans are consuming it, thinking it's modernity.
And then on top of that, they're trying to peddle those GMO seeds in Africa.
Yes.
In 2024, the president of Nigeria basically wrote it into law to allow GMO seeds to come into the country. They've refused it for so long, but he actually signed it into law. So we have the Teller seed in Nigeria. He signed it into law. This is how bad things.
He's allowing GMO to come in.
He allowed it. He signed it into law.
He's a traitor.
We had a podcast where we had to bring the people who were calling it. We had to bring them online to talk about it, to push back on it.
Wow. Wait a minute. You're saying that they are allowing GMO seeds to be planted?
They allowed it. They said that the teller maize is allowed in Nigeria today.
Wow. So Bill Gates and his friends, huh?
He's always there. He's always there. He's basically hobnobbing with the president. He's basically hobnobbing with every African president.
Wow, man, that's too deep. We're gonna have. Sister Nkaassaa, you have any other questions? Any questions?
Ooh, I think there could be a million more.
I'm still recovering from the GMO hit.
I mean, too, and I got to get back in here and start swimming again. With the farmers.
And when I'm talking about colonization, the mind colonized, this is basically what's happening to Africa, that we think everything they bring as a solution is there to help us. They don't realize it's counterintuitive and counterproductive. None of it's there to help us. Because they have the Europe mindset that white is right, and they basically the solution is basically European.
And the African resources will crush and crumble the euro when we supply them with the resources they need. There'll be no euro.
Because Bill Gates is coming into Africa because he knows what he's doing.
Right.
He's trying to colonize agriculture in Africa.
Yes.
He's been doing that. It's colonized the health system. It's basically colonized. It's colonizing everything. Unfortunately, we have gatekeepers and mission managers as Africans who are allowing this to happen because they've given them trinkets and mirrors like they did in the past. We're still falling for the same old trick in 2026. And this is the work that we Africans in diaspora back home.
Same old tricks in 2026.
Yes, it's the same old tricks in 2026.
I like that. You got that right.
Yeah, because you need to study your enemy to know how they move. In 2026, if you haven't learned that lesson, then you must be the biggest punk ever. And unfortunately, a lot of Africans are just so stupid. You know, sometimes I feel like getting a stick and clubbing on their heads all the time. That's how incensed I am when I'm talking to people, because they're so dopey and stupid.
Well, you saw the movie, you saw the movie The Matrix. You know,
yes, I did.
The red pill. Or the
and the blue pill.
People are loving that blue pill, man, and the illusion of food.
We're consuming it. You know, we're working so fast to get into that blue pill mode. Basically, I have kids that are mentor in Africa.
Exactly. I was watching Star Trek last night, and they could just materialize food from nothing. You know, with the devices, the technology that they had. You know, I'm like, wow, that's too deep. But that's what's going on. You know, we get
that's what's going on.
And all the burgers and all the fast food and all the food that's going.
The chains are coming in. When I'm home, I want to eat my indigenous food. When I say let's go out to eat, guess where they're going to take me? To KFC or McDonald's. I live in the West. I don't want to go eat. I don't even taste the stuff in the West.
We're ahead of you guys now. We're pushing for non-GMO and all that. You guys.
Well, but unfortunately, we're just accepting it. We're accepting it. You're pushing away, but they're accepting it.
Yeah, you're at the beginning of the curve, man. So we're going to have to come over there and help you guys figure what's going on out here. Anyway,
that's why we need diasporans and Africans who are awakened to get into the systems and start influencing decisions.
Yeah, we need to come over there and disrupt things. You know, exactly.
Magnetize.
Speaking of food, interestingly enough, there's a song on my album. One of my albums called Mystical Travels called "Dinner Is Ready." So we're gonna go into that music for a minute, and then we come out of the "Dinner Is Ready" music. We're going to be introducing our brother Bert, but we're going to go in a different direction for a minute and lighten it up. Sports of all sorts when we come back, okay?
No worries.
You got that? Dinner is definitely ready, and it's non-GMO. It's certified organic. Just like my brother Bert, sports of all sorts. Come on, Bert, lay it on us, man. What's going on in the sports world, man? I heard the Nigerian women team might have some hope.
Oh yeah. Hopefully so, man. Hopefully so. It's kind of the off season of sports right now, as you know, brother Safeer. Not too many sports going on. The WNBA was on last night. The Lynx, Olivia Miles and the Lynx beat Caitlin Clark in the Fever 108-100. Also some big news in the NBA this week. I'm pretty sure, as well as everybody knows, LeBron James signing with the Philadelphia 76ers. That was a big move.
76ers. Come on, Philly.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I know that's one of your teams right there, so I know you're pretty excited about it.
Well, LeBron is my guy. I go wherever LeBron goes.
Okay. I like that. Well, it's pretty interesting, man. That move most certainly puts them at the top of the Eastern Conference right now, with the Phillies, with the New Yorks, with the Clevelands. Easily the top four. Right now, the projected starting five is looking like LeBron James, Joel Embiid, Jaylen Brown, VJ Edgecombe, and Tyrese Maxey. So they have a powerhouse starting lineup. I think they're still going to make some moves to kind of fill out the rest of the roster and get some good role players, complementary players in there.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, you've been listening to our conversation about African liberation today.
Yes, sir. And with Brother Oládélé.
Yes, sir. Oh yeah. So we got some questions for you, and for Brother Oládélé. So look here. Say hi to Bert, Brother Bert Oládélé. Say hi.
Hello, Brother Oládélé.
Hello, brother. How you doing, my brother?
I'm doing good. How are you, brother?
You've got hair. I haven't got no hair.
We've been talking about
just a little bit
decolonization, and so one of the things that we need to decolonize is the world of sports.
Yeah, I don't even pay attention to that no more, my guys. I don't even pay attention to it.
we got these plantations called sports teams.
Yeah.
Where what 99% of the owners are European, white Europeans, and then 1% might be African American, African descent, or whatever. And so we get all these brothers and sisters playing on the plantation. So how do we begin? So we think that if we free up Africa and free up the United States, we can begin that process of having more control and ownership over our reality, Brother Oládélé.
Yeah, it's just like we've said, it's all about ownership. We have all these things. We're more than capable of having these things. It's just the fact that that's just one little thing that's just missing. It's just the fact that let's start thinking like Africans. We're not thinking like I said from the beginning. There's a black face, a white mask. The mask needs to come off. This is basically this is the missing link. And getting back to our original spirituality. When you're in connection with the source, it guides you to do the right things. Yeah. So the miseducation and the spirituality disconnection are two of the biggest challenges facing Africans today. If we can just start teetering gradually towards that person and just start telling people and getting people into space where they can actually ask the questions. And it's about asking the questions. Because I started asking questions. My son, at a particular time, was 18 years old. He's 35 now. He was the one that woke me up. Mm-hmm. My son was reading Malcolm X and all those books, and he was telling me stuff, and I'm thinking, what do you know? You're only 18, you don't know nothing. Right. Was the fool. Yeah. And then that triggered me to start asking questions. That's one of the reasons why I left church, because my son was telling me stuff that made me ask questions. And this is what Africans need to do. The moment you start asking questions, you'll be surprised what you're going to find. That's basically leads to that emancipation. So in terms of the sports and everything, to me, they're just circuses, which basically they give you for you to distract you, for you to forget about the fact that you have to go to plantation, the matrix, to feed yourself. We can do better than that.
You got that right.
You got that right. You got that right, Brother Oládélé.
All right. You want to jump in, Bert, with anything?
As far as the GMOs, I know you guys just started you voted that in, allowing GMO products in seeds to be taken into Nigeria, I believe it was. What plans do you guys have far as is taking recourse in returning that eventually, in the future, to try to make sure that, all the products that are being consumed are more natural?
Yeah, we have when this came in, and basically I reached out to some guys because I was infuriated about it, and we reached out to some guys. So there's some guys doing the work. They're basically doctors, professors. They're pushing back. It's hard work. Obviously, money has changed hands. And once money is changed hands, they push the policies through. But people are pushing back, and it's all about awakening. It's about just putting the information out there. And this is why I love the social media. This is what I use it for, to educate people. So for me, that's the biggest thing ever. It's become a leveler for most people who don't get information, now they're getting it. So we're using this every way we can to basically get information out there. So yeah, there's pushbacks going on. Hopefully people start awakening and see. I was in Kenya. Kenyans now realize that GMOs are not good for them. They're pushing back on it. So there's an sensitization going on. And once some people start saying no, others say no. Even there's a young agribusiness owner that I had an interview with. She's in Nigeria. And she was telling me, said, Uncle, GMOs, once the locals know that they cannot regrow the seed the next season, they won't go to it no more because it's going to cost them money. So hopefully it will basically collapse. Okay. Yeah. Because if they have to spend money to buy seeds that they will naturally keep for the next season, it puts them out of pocket. They can't afford it.
It incentivizes them not to want to spend money with them
So because they need chemicals to keep the damn thing going, and most of these farmers can't afford to do that. So hopefully it would die that death. Because I'm hopeful because people are pushing back on that, and it's just down to the sensitization and basically awareness and people knowing what's going on.
Yeah, it's controlling. It's all about controlling the food supply. You know, if they control the GMO seeds, they control the food supply. So you know, I mean, I don't know how an African government can justify that with its people.
Well, unfortunately, African governments are sellouts. The mission managers for that neo-colonial project, unfortunately, 51 of them. So yeah, whatever they do doesn't surprise me because it's expected of them. They don't know any different.
Yeah, so you know, money talks and everything else walks. I think, you know, it's like a friend of mine in New York used to say African people got caught up in what he called the illusion of inclusion, the illusion of being included in the so-called mainstream action, you know, as opposed to being on the outside. And so they have we've been withheld access to so many things for so long that once we got access to it, we're like kids in a candy store, you know, and the excitement hasn't worn off yet.
Yeah.
I think that right about now, the excitement is starting to wear off, I believe, around the world, around the globe, and people are beginning to gradually wake up. So we commend you, my brother. We appreciate you for what you do and what you're doing over there, and keep up the good work. Do you, Nkaassaa, any closing comments or questions for Brother Oládélé or Bert?
Brother Oládélé, how do we get in contact with you? Will individuals email you at Emerging Alkebulan or? Yeah,
that's the email address there. I'm on all social media. I'm on TikTok, Instagram, Substack, because I write an article a day on Substack about decolonization. I basically challenge everything, every narrative out there. If you want to go to my Substack, the Emerging Alkebulan, we're on LinkedIn as well. That's how I met my elder Safeer on LinkedIn. So yeah, we basically use, like I said, we use the tools of the Urugu basically to get information out there. We have to use it. So I'm very away. I don't stop. I'm working all the time getting information out there. That's basically, like I said, it's a spiritual thing.
Yes.
People don't understand it, but once you're in that process, you just keep going.
Yes, brother. Yes.
Bert, you got anything, Bert?
Thank you for all your wonderful work, Brother Oládélé. Most definitely.
Thank you, my brother, man. I need to get one of those. I need to get one of those deluxe, man. I'm loving it, man.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, you know, I used to have locks.
There's nothing there.
I used to have locks a long time ago. It was funny because I didn't have anything on top, but I had locks on the side. You know? I look like what's that TV movie? I forgot the name of it now. Predator. I look like one of them Predators.
Wow.
But anyway, we want to thank our very special guest, Oládélé Dosunmu, decolonization.
Really, I've enjoyed myself. Thank you very much.
Using Western destructive ideologies is not going to emancipate Africans. That we know that's for sure. That is for sure. We gotta, focus in on our own indigenous knowledge, and all the answers are there in the indigenous knowledge. We just need to go back to basics. If you miss any part of the show today, or if you just want to listen again, all of our shows can be heard on demand anytime on the Safeer World YouTube page, our website at safeerworld.com, or under the name of You Got That Right on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Radio, and all major podcast platforms. Thanks for listening. And remember, you got that right.
You got that right.
You got that right. Thank you. Thank you very much, guys. Take care.
Have a good one.
You and I have 100% agreement rating, and that's because no matter what you or I do, we're gonna always say you got that right. a judgment-free zone. And we're getting ready to spread that unconditional love vibration all over the planet with the universal understanding that peace is more important than being right about anything. We can always disagree, but we never have to be disagreeable by simply respecting each other's right to see the world as we choose to see it in every moment. We can always disagree, but we never have to be disagreeable by simply respecting each other's right to see the world as we choose to see it in every moment.